So in this video, we'll look at how to calculate the consumer price index and the inflation rate. So let's assume if you remember the definition of the consumer price index, we look at the value of a basket of goods and services used by the typical household. So let's say the typical household has this basket of sanitizers, public transport, haircuts and flour, and this is the quantity or the weights which is being used. These are the prices, and then we calculate the value. So the value is nothing but the quantity into the price, Q into P. So for 2019, these are the values, and the values can be totaled up over here for 2019. In the same way, you will get the prices for 2020. Now we can see that the price of sanitizers has remained the same, public transport has increased by $2, so has haircuts and flour. So you're definitely going to see some amount of inflation, but what is that exact amount? We are calculating that. So first step is the same, multiply the prices with the quantities, and we get the values for 2020. So now we have the 2019 value of the basket of goods and services, and we have the 2020 value. So we have to calculate the CPI, the consumer price index, for the year between 2020 and 2019. So the value in the current year divided by the value in the base year multiplied by 100 is the formula. So 956 for 2019, when we calculate it, it's 956 upon 956 into 100, which comes to 100. And because it's 100, this would be our base year. We are already establishing that the base year in this case is going to be 2019. Okay, so this is the base year. Now, usually when you have to calculate that, the base year is given to you in the question that this is the base year, and or you have, when you calculate and you see that it comes to 100, then you know it is the base year. Okay, so the base year CPI will always be 100 as a rule. The CPI of 2020, we can calculate 986 divided by 956 into 100. So that comes out to be 103.13. Remember to always take to 2 decimal places. Take the answer to 2 decimal places. So the inflation rate can be calculated by the simple formula of the finding of the rate of change between any 2 years. The generalized formula is final value minus initial value upon initial value into 100. So 103.13 is the index for 2020 minus 100 for 2019 upon 100 into 100 will give us the inflation rate from 2019 to 2020, which is 3.14%. So the same method can be applied whenever you have to calculate inflation rate. So the first step is calculating the value of the baskets, then finding the price index, the CPI, and then finally finding the inflation rate. So in this case, we can see there is 3.14% of inflation from the previous year. So definitely this is inflation. In the same way, if there was a decrease, we could say there's a deflation. So for instance, this is 100 and this is 103.13, but let's say CPI 2020, the values were changed and the CPI 2020 was actually 96, for instance. So because the CPI has decreased, we can immediately see that there has been a deflation. So this is one good way to find out whether there's inflation or deflation, and then finding out the final value. But there are also some drawbacks to calculating the inflation rate in this way. There's a drawback of consumer price index, and we'll look at that in the next video.